either watching or listening to the inaugural Think Resolutions podcast, and in particular, a series of podcasts that I'm doing with my co-host, Natalie Armstrong Motrin. And that series is called Marketing for Mediators and Arbitrators. Today's focus is going to be on entrepreneurship. And while it is somewhat focused on mediators and arbitrators, it's really a very broad topic, and it covers just about anybody who runs a business and has those obligations. Before I go any further, let me tell you who I am. My name is Howard Klein. I'm a mediator and arbitrator, and I've been a California licensed attorney since 1976, if I could count back that far. And one of the things I want to make sure that you understand is, although Natalie and I want to entertain you, educate, and inform you, we're doing this for a purpose. This is for marketing purposes. So I want you to know that for me, if you have a dispute that you can't resolve on your own, or you know someone else who does, you can refer business to me. That's the purpose of this. And in Natalie's case, and I'll let her embellish upon it a little bit, she's more of the marketing maven extraordinaire. So Natalie, why don't you tell everybody within 20 seconds, what is it that you do and what is it that you'd like to accomplish? And then we'll get right to the topic.
Well, that's very generous of you, Howard. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to doing these podcasts with you. My name is Natalie Armstrong Motrin. I own an agency called Marketing Resolution, and I work with neutrals around the world, attorneys around the world in business development, practice development, marketing, and promotion. So if you've got a practice that needs a little bit of help, let me know. I'm happy to consult with you about the business strategies or promotional or marketing strategies that could elevate your practice.
Outstanding. So let's get right into the meat of the discussion. You wanted to talk about entrepreneurship. And why don't we start out with, what do you mean by that?
You know, I think that entrepreneurship is really important for everyone who's listening who owns a business. And entrepreneurship it's a mindset. And I think it's a really important mindset for us to have. My clients who understand themselves to be first and foremost a business person who's putting together a legal or neutral practice versus those individuals who consider themselves first and foremost a neutral or an attorney trying to build a business, they do much better. And it's not a play on words. I'm not trying to be clever or anything. An entrepreneurial mindset is an absolute imperative in building a successful business or practice. And I think that entrepreneurs have particular habits that they utilize and leverage on a regular and daily basis that a lot of us need to add into our daily diet of practice development and business management.
Outstanding. So let me step back a second and give you my thoughts on entrepreneurship, because for me, of course, I've owned my own law practice. I've owned my own business. And to me, I act in the capacity as an owner. Basically, I'm responsible for everything. Doesn't mean I have to do everything, because it's important to know how to delegate, but every aspect of the business, and even when I've been general counsel and in charge of legal departments in a larger company, I even had an entrepreneurial mindset then. It's like the company, I was an owner. Although in most instances I wasn't, I felt like I was an owner. And I treated it like I was an owner. I didn't treat it like I was an employee. And that's my thought in terms of mindset. Can you embellish upon that a little bit more?
No, Howard, I think you're exactly right. So, for example, if you're an attorney in a firm, or you're a real estate broker inside a real estate brokerage house, or you are one of the bankers inside a larger financial institution, all of those positions, straight across the board, still, I think, greatly benefit from having an entrepreneurial mindset. Those people that get those promotions, that grow a bigger business, if you're the sole owner or if you're in a small group, those individuals that have this idea that they are maintaining a daily diet of reading business books and marketing books, listening to podcasts like this, watching the YouTube channels that speak to business development and entrepreneurship and creativity. Those individuals that attend seminars, webinars, conferences, take courses at their local university. Those are the individuals that will grow a bigger business for themselves or participate at that higher level if they're inside a larger institution and get those promotions.
So let me ask you this question. Oops, I got to keep flipping back. It's one of the things about this program. Now, we're talking about mediators and arbitrators. And some mediators and arbitrators have an entrepreneurial mindset, and some don't. Give me some examples of people who might not have that entrepreneurial mindset, because I have some thoughts in terms of not only what I do, and I treat myself as an entrepreneur, but how a lot of other mediators and arbitrators don't have that same mindset.
We all know these people, Howard, and it's those individuals who are under the assumption that they take their 40-hour course or they get their LLM. They post that accomplishment on LinkedIn and the phone will start ringing and the requests will start pouring in. And that's just, sadly, that's just not the truth, not for our industry and not for any other industry, actually, that I'm familiar with. It takes shoe leather. You have to get out there. You have to network, write, speak, train. You have to be present on social media. You have to have a website. You have to have all of these things in line, or you're just not going to grow a business.
Do you have any clients that you consult with who are they're on panels on American Arbitration Association or JAMS?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how does the American Arbitration Association and JAMS, how do they treat the individual mediators and arbitrators, and what do they expect in terms of entrepreneurship, from those mediators and arbitrators?
My experience is that before you can get on those panels and rosters, they really want you to come with experience and a book of business. So it is sort of a catch-22. It's not just a free ride. Very few individuals get on those panels just on reputation or the name that they bring to the panel. That's a rarity. Most of us have to work really hard to develop our businesses before we're appealing enough to the large panels for them to give us placement. And then once you're on that panel, they do expect that you're still out there, you are still representing, you're still writing, you're still speaking, you're still training, you're still networking, and you are still on social media.
Yeah, I think that the entrepreneurial mindset, first, I think they want it, because although they bring in business for the arbitrators and mediators, and that is a major part of the service that they provide, they also want they want to ride also on your ability to bring business in. They want that. It's a team attitude and approach. Someone who doesn't have that entrepreneurial mindset, I almost fumbled with my words, are people who go, well, I just got approved by the AAA, and let me sit back and wait for the business to come in, or FINRA, or whatever. And I don't have the patience to sit back and wait for the business to come in. Sometimes it does, but it comes in It starts flowing in because of your efforts to do things. And I think that's extremely important. If you get all kinds of business and you can handle everything you can, that's great. But if you're looking to develop a business and maintain it, you got to have that entrepreneurial mindset.
You absolutely do. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. For those who are really uncomfortable with the idea of being that kind of participant in our industry, there are rosters that really don't require you to do a lot of business development, but those are more like jobs and less like you running your own practice.
So you and I had a discussion. It was a little off topic, and it was a great story that there was someone that you were either coaching or consulting with a client who had to do with wine. And while it may be a little bit off topic in terms of entrepreneurship, in a way it is related because he took charge of what he was going to do as a mediator and arbitrator. And why don't you tell the story? It's a great story.
Well, I'm happy to share it. One of the challenges that a lot of us face in this industry is how to differentiate ourselves from all of the others. And if you look at LinkedIn will tell you that there are more than 800,000 mediators worldwide. So it's really important for us to differentiate ourselves. And we can differentiate our practices in a wide variety of ways. But that differentiation, that setting yourself apart from the rest, I think is, if you can, an absolute luxury. But also, Howard, I think that being passionate about what we do makes it so much easier to be a savvy entrepreneur, because when you wake up every day and every day is a great gift and you get to do what you're passionate about, it's a lot easier to be an entrepreneur than if you wake up thinking, oh man, I got to mediate that thing, or I'm going to have to arbitrate that thing, or, So I had this client, lovely client, who for decades had been a labor law and employment attorney. And he was ready to start transitioning away from litigation and more toward neutral work. Just an intelligent, fabulous human being, right across the board. And he would come to my office and we would talk about strategy and planning and the activities and what we were going to publish and where he was going to be a speaker and where he would be networking, all really important things. We would talk about returns on investment, et cetera, all the business end of being in business. And we would get through it and he would sort of nod and go along. And yes, I can do that. And sure, I can write that article. And yes, I'll attend that thing. And yes, I'll shake the right hands, et cetera. And at the end of my hour of consultation with him, he would get really animated and his face would change color, and he would reach into his briefcase and he would pull out a bottle or two or three of wine. And he would tell me about how last month.
Let me stop you. Is it full or empty?
Full. I mean, come on now. So he would pull out bottles of wine and then he would tell me about his adventures. He was, going to this wine tasting or he met a new company or a new vintner, et cetera. But everything about him changed. It became more passionate, more colorful, more animated. And I just kept saying, oh, and for funsies, this attorney became a sommelier. I mean, for most of us, that's a career. For him, it was a hobby. He was so impassioned by this entire industry. And I kept saying, would you please let me help you build a neutral practice built around the wine industry? I don't know anything about it, but for sure there are issues, complaints, disputes, problems, errors in communication, negotiation. There are bottlers, there's labelers, there's all of the people who transport the wine. There's trademarks, intellectual property. There's something called vine rustling, which I didn't know anything about, where one vintner sneaks onto another vintner's property and clips some vine and grafts it to his own and makes a whole other kind of wine. I mean, it's a whole thing. And finally, I sort of badgered. And he finally said, yeah, that's fine. Let's give it a go. How bad can it be? I probably won't lose any business, but I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. And we set up an international ADR practice for him so that he could hear wine disputes all over the world. So he got to fly and visit these fabulous vineyards. He got to be around the people who love the thing that he loves the most. He got to hear those disputes. He was in hog's heaven with all of these wines. And he was always coming back to my office saying, oh, I did the most magnificent, fantastic, fabulous, awesome, amazing thing. And I brought you a bottle of wine. It was amazing to put together this practice. The really lovely part, though, the entrepreneurial part, the fun part for me, was that he was the only person who had a practice designed to hear that industry's cases and disputes. So he got to charge a fee that had some beautiful commas in it. So he made a ton of money. He got to be around the people that he loved to be around. He got to be in the industry that he absolutely was passionate about. So for me, that was just one of the most amazing experiences.
I love that story. And since you told me there are some other things that I'm doing to kind of follow my passion, I have another podcast now called Into the Rabbit Hole, because I have a tendency to get passionate about something and then I am head first into that rabbit hole. But that's for another story. We're beginning to run out of time. If there is one thing that someone watching or listening to this should walk away with, what should that be?
I think the ideal is to create a system for yourself that works just for you, whatever that system might look like. So for me, the easiest thing to do, I wake up in the morning, I feed the dog, I put on my shoes, I put on my headphones, and I listen to business and entrepreneurship and marketing podcasts while I'm walking the dog. Now, for me, that gets my day started off right. That way, when I get back, kick off my sneakers, I have in my mind an idea. Now, I don't always listen to legal podcasts or ADR podcasts. I listen to a wide variety of industry podcasts because from each one of those, I can glean some little pearl of creativity. It gives me an idea, some inspiration, or I can think, oh, that's definitely wrong for my industry and I don't ever want to touch that. But I come back and I'm ready to go. I'm thinking about it. I'm creating. I'm curious. I'm online. I'm researching solutions. So if you could create just that moment for yourself, and it really is just moments, to get that spirit, to get that entrepreneurial mindset going for you in whatever form that takes, that's what you need to add to your daily diet of business.
Well, I actually had other thoughts in terms of takeaways, but based upon what you were talking about and something that I'm going through, for me, it's learning on steroids. I am so, who would have ever thought? I was a mediocre student in school, and I didn't know how to study until I actually started studying in law school. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm a little smarter than I thought. And it just has become a lifelong endeavor for me to learn. And even now at my age, even more so, I'm like in a hurry. Got too much to learn. I got to learn as much as I can. And that's my takeaway based upon what you've just said. So as we wrap up, I'd like to thank you. Why don't you quickly tell everyone how they can get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to just search my name on the Googles. You'll find my LinkedIn profile there. You'll find my website there. You'll find my YouTube channel there. You can watch me for free every Monday morning on LinkedIn with Marketing Monday, which is a video and podcast channel similar to this. There are lots of different ways you can follow me. You can also just go to my website, howtomarketmymediationpractice.com. Send me an email, send me a DM, connect with me. It's a rising tide lifts all ships. And the better each of us does, the better all of us do. So let me know how I can best help you.
So I'm pretty much going to say ditto. To kind of cut this short, I'm going to be putting contact information in the comments section of wherever you're going to be watching this, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And I do want to add, we have another live podcast, and hopefully we will have these sound issues resolved, no matter how sophisticated I am. It seems like I'm always having these issues. December 12th, 2023 at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have not decided on the topic yet, but if anybody who's listening to this has a suggestion, we're all ears. So, with that being said, thank you very much, Natalie. And it's a wrap.
Thanks, Howard.
Bye-bye.